Hello everyone. So this is our third session for the training program of SQL for data analyst and the data scientist. In our previous session, we covered about the different types of SQL commands, then the single insert, bulk insert, not null, and the default constants. We explored about the different types of SQL commands like a create table, create database, and single insert, which help us to add one record at a time, and the bulk insert, which efficiently add multiple records in a one go. We also learn about the not null constraint, which ensure that specific columns must always contain the data, and the default constraint, which automatically assigns a value to the column when nothing is provided in that particular column. Now in this session we learn about how we can import data from Excel file. Then we learn also about primary key. We will also learn about composite primary key and the unique key. So let's get started today's session. So the first one is the importing data from the Excel file. So in this session we'll talk about how we can handle the bulk data import into the PostgreSQL. Imagine the scenario if I have a file and which has the more than 100 rows of the data including the header, and if we want to write an insert statement for each and every row manually, this would be the extremely time consuming, and we had 1,000,000 records. Writing those insert statement would be nearly impossible. So we can efficiently import all the data into a table in the PostgreSQL in a one go. For that we need to create a table in the appropriate structure in the PG admin, which can match the structure of the Excel file or the CSV file. Then it will help us to insert the data. So I have table structure which can have customer ID, customer name, segment, age, country, postal code, date, time, and the region. I have prepared one SQL query for that. Let me share the screen. So this is the MySQL query which I am going to execute in the PG admin to create a table for the customer. And also I have the CSV file which has the similar structure like the SQL query. So let me first execute the SQL query in the PG admin tool. I'm just doing here and I will select it and try to execute it. So as you can see, my table is created. How you can check? I just right click on that. So my table structure with this column is already present here. Now our table is ready. Now the next step is to import the data. Instead of writing individual insert statements which would take a long time, I will directly import the data from the external files like CSV or Excel file or any other compatible format. For that I just right click on and there is the option of the import export data. I just select it and this option will allow me to select my data. So I am just selecting the file from the desktop and I am clicking on the OK. So my data is imported successfully. So now let me see. So I just execute the select statement. I just select it and I execute it. So if you see, my data is getting inserted without manually writing the SQL query or insert statement for the number of records. So this is the features of importing data from the external file. We just now learn how we can import data from Excel or the CSV or from any compatible format into the PostgreSQL. Now we are going to learn about three main constraints which are using in the SQL. Our first one is the primary key, then the unique key and the composite key. These keys are very crucial to ensure the integrity and uniqueness of the data in our database. Understanding when and how to use this constraint will help you to design database in a more better way and maintain the cleaner data. By combining this constraint in a right way, you can maintain both the integrity and efficiency of our data operations. So, we just start to explain what is primary key, what is unique key and composite primary key, and how they can be used together in the database. So let me start with the primary key. What is a primary key? A primary key is a column in a database table that uniquely identifies the each row in the table. So it helps us to avoid the duplicate rows in the database and assign the unique identifier to the each row. So let me explain you. So first I want to show you. First I will create one student data table in our database. So let me take a SQL query to create the student table in our database. So this is my student table where is first name, last name, gender, age and the course enroll. Course enroll I take as a default constraint is a data analytics. If I am not going to insert any data, it will be take is as a default as a data analytics. We already learned about the not null, which doesn't allow any null value in the column. So let me first try to execute it. So my table is created. Let me confirm it by selecting the refresh. So you can see the student table is created here. Now let me try to insert the data in it. So this is my query. Let me try again. Okay, now this is with help of that I will just run the same insert. I run the insert query here. Okay, I just need to put SQL with a single quote. So data is inserted here in my student data. Let me confirm it by running the SQL query. So data is already inserted. In some scenario, if you say there is one record which has the same first name and the last name and it have the same age also. So SQL allow to insert such statements. So let me show you. I will run same SQL query and I just need to change the age, or you can say the course. If I put it here course, okay, and if I try to insert this query, is executed. Let me confirm it again. So you can see here there is the SQL insert a duplicate record with the same values because there is no any primary key or unique key applied on the table. Okay, so if we applied any primary key or unique key on the table, it uniquely identify that record, it distinct that record. So let me recreate the student table with the primary key constraint. So I want to use the same name here. So I am just deleting this table from my database. I executed it. So now I just want to show you. and select the refresh button. So data is already deleted from my database. Now I am creating it. Let me note down the SQL query from here, and I will try to insert in the pgadmin. So this is the query. So what the difference I make it, if you can see it here. So let me show the difference. It's a first name. I introduce here the student ID, which is not null, and I also assign as the primary key for it. Other than all the fields are the same here. So let me try to run this query. So my table is created now. Let me confirm by selecting the refresh button. The student table is created in the database. Now let me try to insert the data in it. Now I am inserting data. It's the same insert statement. You just need to provide the specific field, corresponding field for that data. And I provided here the student ID as the primary key. So my number should be 1. So which uniquely or distinctly identify the each row. Now I am trying to insert this query. So let me confirm whether data is inserted or not. So select start now student table. You can see data is inserted here now. So if I insert again, try to insert the same thing with the same first name and the last name, and you can say the same age also. Is it possible? But this time if I keep it 1, it will not allow me to insert the data. If I try to run it again, it's going to be give me the error. There's a duplicate value violates unique constraint is available for that is a primary key. So instead of that, if I provide it here 2, and if I try to run this query, it will definitely run and successfully data is getting to be inserted in your table. So let me confirm it again by executing the query. We can see there is a 2 records with the same first name, last name and the age, and the course also same, but this primary key is uniquely differentiated that first record from the second record. So this is all about the primary key. Now we are going to see about the composite key. But before moving to the composite key is nothing but is a set of columns which help us to uniquely identify our row in the table. But before moving to the composite key, I want to introduce with the unique key. What is a unique key? Unique key is nothing but is similar to the primary key. Okay, but it always help us to ensure the uniqueness of the column or the set of columns. Okay, so what is the main key differences between the unique key and the primary key? So let me explain you here. Both have the same purpose. Both is help us to uniquely identify each row in a table. Primary key also do same thing and unique key also do, but there is only one primary key is allowed per table, and in the unique key it's a multiple unique keys are allowed per table. Then primary key cannot contain the null values, but unique key allows null values. So that is the main key differences between the primary key and the unique key. Okay, so let me try to introduce you with the unique key in a practical way. So I will try to create one table, student table, with the unique key. So this is my student table. Here I has a primary key. Now I am going to introduce also the unique key in it. Okay, so let me try to run this query in our pgadmin tool. Okay, so here you can see email address is a unique key which I am going to introduce in this table. So it will help us that to no two students can share the same email address. So that help us to keep our data more consistent and distinct and unique. Okay, so I have applied unique constraint to the email field here. So let me try to run this query, but I think it will not get run because our student structure is already present in the database. Let me show you. If I try to run this query, it will give me the error. You see, it's already exists. So for that, first I need to drop this table from my database. Okay, is already dropped now, and let me recreate this student table. It's done successfully. Let me confirm it. So the structure is already present in our database. Now we can insert the data also in it. So I'm trying to insert data also in it. Data is inserted successfully. Confirm it. So data is also inserted, and there is a primary key also inside this. There is a default key, not null key, and the email address, and the unique key also, which is a unique key. So like that, combining all these constraints, you can make our database more consistent and more accurate. So now the next one and the last one we need to talk about today is about the composite key. So what is a composite key? The composite key is the key which has a set of columns in a database that uniquely identifies each row in a table. That means in the composite key, we are adding more than one columns to make data more uniquely identify that row. So I have to say about the composite key, and I want to share one scenario also for the composite key. Okay, so in the composite key, we can have the combination of the student ID and the course ID that ensure that each student can be enrolled in each course only one in a time. Okay, so for that, let me introduce with the composite key. So this is the enrollment table. Here we have the composite key for the student ID and the course ID. Okay, so let me take this query into our PG admin tool and try to run it. So here, if you can see, there is a foreign key one constraint also available, which I will cover up in the next session. So today we just need to see there is a student ID, there is a course ID, enrollment date, and the primary key, which is the combination of the student ID and the course ID. So let me run this query. So this one, create the table of the enrollment. Let me confirm it by executing the select statement. Now structure of the enrollment table is already present. Let me try to insert the data in the enrollment. So data is also inserted successfully. Let me try to run it. So you can see here data is also inserted here in the with the help in the enrollment table with the help of the composite key. So what we have learned before that is a single primary key, but if we can create the primary key on more than one column, it is the composite key. So it's a combination of the two or more columns. So that is the composite key. So with the help of all these primary key, unique key and composite key, you can provide uniqueness of your data into the database. So that's the main purpose of all these constraints. Till now we learn about the important constraints of the SQL, primary key, unique key and the composite key. So just we can go back to our presentation. So as I mentioned, we learn about all these different types of constraint and the essential commands. Now in our future session we are going to learn about foreign key, check constraint